Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I invite you to picture this scenario. It's 11 p.m. on a Thursday, and you've locked yourself in your bedroom for around 8 hours. You missed your best friend's wedding, you missed your son's baseball games because of this one assignment that's due next morning. And yet, despite locking yourself in, missing all of these once in a lifetime events, you practically accomplished nothing. Now, if you had no problem identifying with this scenario, then this speech is for you. And I welcome you to the productivity paradox, the modern phenomenon where we work more but achieve less. Who knew that in a world where we have access to such advanced technologies, we would be stuck doing busy work? Well, we are sending more emails, downloading more productivity apps, and listening to more Instagram gurus. How is our sense of accomplishment diminishing? Well, these are the three main reasons. First one is us equating busyness with productivity. So the little spark of dopamine you get after ticking off another point from your checklist, it tricks you into thinking that you've been productive when the task may have been useless and you wasted your time on it, but hey, you ticked off the task, right? The second is, I'm not going to go too deep into this. I think we're all familiar with algorithm-driven distractions that have diminished our attention span and generally decreased our focus. If anyone here has not experienced this, please raise your hand. Okay, I'm not going to go too deep into this. Now, the third point I want to talk about is cultural pressure. I think we have overglorified overworking so much that if we're not grinding 24/7, then the world sure is going to remind you of it. And I think as IB students, we truly know about this little issue. The productivity paradox isn't just about us feeling, a bit exhausted, a bit busy all the time, like, oh no, I can't play with my kids today because I have work. No, it's more than that. Annually, our global economy loses trillions of dollars just because of how overworked and exhausted employees are. Because overworking, it worsens our physical health, our mental health, and leads to a decline in creativity as well. So, how do we battle this? How do we reverse this paradox? How do we work less but achieve more? This is the first point that I want to talk about. It's about generally knowing what you're doing. You need to have a clear goal, which isn't overridden by all the little to-do tasks that you have planned for the day. Now, you can accomplish this with things like the concept of deep work, where you focus on one task for 1 hour with zero distractions, like actually zero distractions. Throw your phone away, put it in a blender, do anything with it. Just lock yourself in a room for 1 hour, and the idea is that in a truly focused state, you can achieve more in that 1 hour than in 7 hours of just kind of floating around, doing something, but not really accomplishing anything. You can also use the Pareto principle, probably heard about this. It's the concept that talks about 20% of your inputs leading to 80% of your outcomes. So if you're a numbers kind of person, you can kind of see, it's only 20%, but 80%, it means that 80% of my work is useless because it only leads to 20%. So you kind of prioritize things. In a real workplace, there's an issue of certain employees maybe finishing their work more efficiently than others and completing a task quicker. And sadly, most likely they will not be rewarded with anything for their efficient work. They will probably be rewarded with more work. And this, understandably, discourages workers from actually trying to work smarter and accomplish tasks quicker, which would be more beneficial for the company. And instead, it encourages them to do the bare minimum because, come on, if I'm not working smarter, what am I even doing here? And so if companies redefine their success metrics and reward their employees based on this and those metrics, maybe they'll be encouraged to actually work better. Productivity isn't about doing more, it's about doing what matters. And now I want to talk about redefining productivity. There's this one activity that I think is severely overlooked in our busy world, and it is doing nothing. Now, the world is a very chaotic place, and the way we deal with this chaos isn't always helpful. Here we have a quote from an American psychologist. When we face problems, we create more problems. Let me lead on to this quote with an example. Imagine a college student, or a high school student, whatever is more relevant to you. They have an upcoming final exam in like 2 weeks, and they're stressed out, understandably so. So what do they resort to? They go on their computer, start playing video games, maybe log into GTA 5, who knows? They're doing this because they're stressed, because we often cope with being overwhelmed by playing video games, or maybe drinking, or doing something else that may not lead to desirable consequences. This is called emotion-focused coping, and it is one of the main coping mechanisms that I'll be talking about today. And this coping mechanism is us trying to fix our emotions, which are caused by our problems, by distracting ourselves, for example, with video games. Now, the second coping mechanism is problem solving, is when you're actually going out there and trying to find solutions to the external factors that cause your problems. And this may be more efficient than the previous coping mechanism until you reach a point where you get unsolvable problems, just things that are completely out of your control, no judgment. But what do we do then? If these problems are unsolvable, we tend to give up and get discouraged and just lose energy. Let me present to you the third coping mechanism of doing nothing, which I'd argue is the most efficient of the three. Because when we're truly doing nothing, when we are not distracted, and when we're not trying to fix every single issue that we have, we actually get a kind of sober state, clear state of mind, which helps your decision making in the long run and prevents you from doing things that you may regret otherwise. And now, let me just make this very clear. There are different ways of doing nothing. I'm a bit of an expert of this in myself, but scrolling through social media isn't one of these methods. A practical method would be standing up and staring at a wall for 5 minutes, maybe watching paint dry. Because, okay, once again, let's take the example of the college student. Now, imagine they've been playing video games for 5 or so hours. And working just doesn't look appealing to them. So, they stand up. The theory is that if they stand up and look at their wall for 5 minutes, their dopamine levels will drop. They'll become so bored that their mind is just going to tell them, like, we need to do something. Like, doesn't matter what, but I can't take this anymore. And work will suddenly seem a bit more appealing because you're actually doing something. It's kind of like a paradox in itself. Yeah, you don't have to stare at a wall. You can like go on a walk, whatever you want to do. Just as long as you're walking for the sake of walking and you're not distracting yourself with music or maybe a podcast, because your mind needs to be really, really unoccupied. And on the topic of creativity, this method also helps you get that creativity of child, because no matter who you are, you have a lot of thoughts in that brain. And some of those may be good thoughts, actually. But if you're constantly occupying your mind with distractions, then those good thoughts may just not have an opportunity to show themselves. And when you're so bored, when you're bored out of your mind is going to start to kind of entertaining you. So you may start remembering things. Maybe you remember that passion project idea you got 5 years ago, and you think, maybe I should get to that. So you can get more ideas. This is why a lot of people claim that their best ideas come in the shower or as they're about to fall asleep. Okay, this isn't just me defending my own laziness. I generally want us to redefine productivity, not as working efficiently, but as living meaningfully. Because why do you work? Why do you study? You don't study just to sit in an office the entire day. You work so maybe you have money, so you have more time to spend with your children. You see how we circle back to the start of the presentation? Because this is what matters. We need to be more productive so we have more time to live meaningfully, to do what we want to do. Because sometimes we just get so focused on doing the work, we forget why we do that work. And now, at this point of speech, I should probably say something like, now, stand up and do something. But in this case, I think it's more appropriate if I say, dear audience, don't forget to do nothing. Thank you.